මුල පිරු වගයි.
Hello there, greetings from Colombo everybody. I'm Hassan Shazali here on News First. It's 30 minutes past 12. This is lunchtime news coming to you live and direct from the News First studios here in Colombo. Let's start off this afternoon's bulletin with a look at your headlines.
Rains recede in many areas. Landslide warnings continue. Hotel collapses due to floods in Atabage. Landslide threat forces closure of Colombo Kandy Road in Kadugannava. Elephants neglected at the Udawalawe National Park. A revelation by the opposition leader.
Let's start out with some developments on the extreme weather. The number of people affected by the extreme weather has passed 222,000. More than 12,700 people are currently at safe shelters. The Disaster Management Centre says that 25 people have been killed by floods and landslides, while one person continues to remain missing. 17 districts have been affected by the extreme weather. Meanwhile, the Met Department forecasts that rains will recede today. However, it's said that the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces can experience rains at times. Rains can also be expected in the north central, Uva and Ampara districts this evening. The Irrigation Department meanwhile says that floods near rivers are also receding. Moving on to some news on a similar note, officials have begun inspecting areas at a risk of landslides. This is taking place along the Colombo Kandy Road in Kadugannava.
The Colombo Kandy Road was closed off in Kadugannava until further notice at 10 last night. A row of fruit stalls in Lower Kadugannava are at threat of being damaged due to earth slips. People travelling from Kandy to Colombo and vice versa have been advised to use alternative routes. Geology Professor Atula Saharatra, who visited the area yesterday, said the fruit stalls are at risk of being damaged. The Mavanala police had set up roadblocks to divert vehicles to alternative routes. The alternative routes are as follows. Travel to Kurunagala through Ambepussa and then head towards Kandy by passing through Galagedara and Katugastota. Travel to Polgahavela through Kegol and then head towards Kandy through Kurunagala, Galagedara and Katugastota. Travel to Rambukana from Mavanala and reach Kandy by passing Hataraliyadda, Galagedara and Katugastota. People travelling from Kandy to Colombo can travel to Kurunagala by passing Katugastota and Galagedara and reach Colombo. Officials at the National Building Research Organisation visited areas that are at risk of landslides today. State Minister Kanaka Herath, Disaster Management Centre officials, the Divisional Secretary, Army and police officers also attended a special discussion on this matter today.
On a related note now, as the extreme weather continues to wreak havoc in many parts of the country, a large building along the Gampula-Nuarelia Road has collapsed into the Atabage Oya. This was after landslides had occurred in the area.
The hotel building along the Gampula-Nuarelia Road had been hit by a landslide after being closed yesterday. People in the area have been evacuated. Traffic was restricted to one lane on the Gampula-Nuarelia Road after a portion of the road had cracked. Several areas in Chilau have been inundated by floods. Chilau, Maikulam and Halamba are among the worst affected areas. Some houses had been flooded for the fifth time. Public transport has resumed along the Bulat Sinhala Molkawa Road, which was flooded after the Kukuleganga had overflown. The National Building Research Organisation says the landslide warnings issued to many divisional secretariats is still in effect. Level 3 landslide warnings were issued for Harispattuwa, Doluwa, Udunuwara, Yatinuwara, Udapalata, Pasbagi Korale, Gangawata Korale and Ganga Ihala Korale in the Kandy district. Yatiyantota, Ruwanwella, Rambukkana, Aranayaka, Kegol, Mavanella, Ulatkohupitiya, Varakapula, Dehiyovita, Galigamuwa and Daraniyagala in the Kegol district. Malalapitiya, Alawa, Mavatagama, Polgahawela, Ridigama and Narammala in the Kurunagala district. Level 2 landslide warnings were issued to Passara and Ella in the Badula district, Seetawaka and Paduka in the Colombo district, Alpitiya and Baddegama in the Gaul district, Agalawatta, Matugama, Bulat Sinhala, Dodangoda and Palindanuwara in the Kalutara district, Pahata Dumbara, Minipe, Madadumbara, Ududumbara, Delgoda, Hatarili Akurana, Panvila and Kundasala in the Kandy district, Rattota and Ukuwela in the Matale district, Ahaliyagoda, Ayagama, Ratnapura and Kalawana in the Ratnapura district. Level 1 landslide warnings were issued for Neluwa, Akmimana, Nagoda, Kadavatsatara, Yakkalamulla in the Gaul district, Horana, Valalavita and Ingiriya in the Kalutara district.
While that continues to be the situation of the weather in the country, people of Bowitiawatha in Matugama say they are facing a big threat relating to water. A former minister had closed off an anicut to drain excess water in the area after filling a land for coconut cultivation.
An anicut had been built in 1975 in Bowitiawatha, Matugama to drain excess rainwater. Locals say the former minister had used a backhoe machine to close off the anicut using steel pipes. As a result, additional water is not flowing from the anicut at present. People say their houses are flooded during rains, although the former minister's coconut cultivation flourishes during this period. Farmers' associations point out that a case has been filed against the former minister at the Matugama court for forcefully filling paddy lands and making cultivation difficult for others. For nearly 6 decades, people near the Rajagani Reservoir have been seeking shelter at a temple after sluice gates were opened because of heavy rains. Authorities haven't paid attention to this problem. These people are also affected when the Ahangam Reservoir and Kalaoya overflow due to heavy rains. These residents say officials, including from parliamentarians to the president, haven't resolved this problem for several years. Places of worship have also been affected due to heavy rains. Floods at the Salila Dasni Buddhist Center in Salawana were washed away after the Maoya had overflown. Monks had lost their robes as well in the floods.
In light of the current weather situation in the country, Gammadda has launched a Saharanyatra Campaign. This is being held in partnership with APAD, the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, and the Sri Lanka Life Saving Association. Our teams were able to reach the most affected communities at relief centres in the Puttalam district yesterday. Today, the Gammadda Saharanyatra team will be visiting Kilinochchi, Rambukkana and Chilau. They will be carrying relief packs for those who are adversely affected by the weather. Senator Saharanyatra is joining us live now from Chilau. Our teams are currently touring the country as they hope to distribute relief items. Let's try to get in touch with Senator Saharanyatra.
Today is the second day of the Gammadda Saharanyatra initiative, and this time around Gammadda has partnered up with the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management and the Sri Lanka Lifeguard Association. Now, right now I am at the St. James Street in Chilau, where the Gammadda team is distributing relief packages to the people of this area whose daily life has been completely hampered owing to the extreme weather conditions Sri Lanka went through during the past few days. They point out that Even after the slightest rain, this area gets completely inundated. Throughout the day, we are hoping to travel throughout Chilao and distribute dry relief packages and dry rations to the people of Chilao, taking matters beyond the newsroom. I'm Sanitha Senanayaka reporting for News First.
As we mentioned a few minutes ago, the government, the Saharanyatra team is currently visiting 3 areas, including Ramukkana. We have News First's Ahmad Buso joining us from Ramukkana.
Good afternoon to all our viewers out there. Today marks the second phase of the Gammadda Saharanyatra initiative to provide relief packs to all those who have been affected due to the extreme weather conditions. And right now, we are at the Ashoka Vidyalaya in Ramukkana in the Kagol district, where the distribution of the relief packs is taking place. And as you can see right behind me, the relief packs are being distributed to several people who have been displaced due to the extreme weather conditions faced across the country.
Thank you very much. That was Ahmad Buso joining us from Ramukkana. He is part of the Saharanyatra campaign that is currently touring the country. We also have Nisal Suryarachi, who is in Kilinochi, which is one of the areas in which relief packs will be distributed to those who have been affected by the extreme weather.
The Gammadda Saharanyatra team is on its way to Jaffna to distribute dry rations to the people of Jaffna who have been affected by the floods that was caused by the severe rains that was carried out during the last few days throughout the country. As you are well aware, Sri Lanka is a country where there are lots of people who are facing poverty, and these people cannot always help themselves on their own. Therefore, they can use all the help that they can get. At this time of need, has answered their call.
Thank you very much, Nisal. That was Nisal Suryarachi joining us from Kilinochi. He is also part of the Saharanyatra team. Now, moving on to the rest of the day's stories. While the extreme weather continues to prevail in the country, the budget proposal for 2022 will be presented in Parliament tomorrow.
Basil Rajapaksa will submit his first budget as Finance Minister tomorrow. The second reading of the debate will begin tomorrow and run for 7 days. The vote after the second reading will be held on the 22nd of this month. The committee stage debate will then commence on Tuesday, the 23rd, and will last for 16 days. The vote after the third reading will be held on the 10th of next month.
12th November 2021, the day of the 2022 budget. KPMG Budget Analysis by S.R. Artigala, Secretary to the Treasury, Ministry of Finance. Sanjay Mohotala, Chairman, Board of Investments of Sri Lanka. Lakshman Silva, Chairman of Sri Lanka Banks Association and the CEO of DFCC Bank. Suresh Dimel, Chairman and Chief Executive of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. Murtaza Jafarji, Chairman of Advocata Institute. Priyanka Disabandara, Tax Advisor, Ministry of Finance. Sanat Ukwatta, President of the Hotel Association of Sri Lanka and Chairman of the Mount Lavinia Hotel Group. Suresh Pereira, Principal Tax and Regulatory Division of KPMG Sri Lanka. Moderated by Reyaz Mihula, Managing Partner, KPMG Sri Lanka. Friday the 12th of November from 7:20 p.m. to 9 p.m. live on Microsoft Teams. Airing on TV1 from 10 p.m.
News First will continue to keep you updated on the developments surrounding Budget 2022 when it is tabled in Parliament tomorrow. Now, Army officers have found an abandoned elephant calf at the Udawalabe National Park last night. It was reported that the legs of the calf were tied to a tree in a brutal manner.
After informing the forest officers at the Udawalawa National Park, army officers handed over the ill-treated elephant calf to the elephant orphanage in Udawalawa. It was reported that this elephant calf was released to the wild from the elephant orphanage last year. According to the information given by the wildlife officers, around 7 last night, an elephant calf who is around 7 or 8 years old and 5.5 feet tall was found 6 kilometers away from the Panahaduwa range at the Udawalawa National Park. Caretaker of the Udawalawa National Park, Mr. Ranatunga, and the officers of the Sri Lanka Army attached to the Diyatalawa camp confirmed that the elephant calf was tied to several trees using ropes. These officers were then able to save this calf and stop the attempts of these thieves to steal this elephant. These can be identified as red flags of another elephant racket happening. We think we need to have proper legislation to avoid these types of rackets. I urge the Minister of Wildlife to look into this matter. In addition to this, I also propose that we take immediate measures to bring back the elephants that were stolen through these rackets earlier. In order to save our elephants, we need to bring them back to our national parks.
මේකෙන් ගම්මේ වෙන්නේ ලංකාවේ ඊටාම තීරණාත්මක විදියට වනාන්තර වලින් ඉන්න අලිපැටවුන් අල්ලීමේ ජාවාරමක් සහ උන් විකිණීමේ ජාවාර.
These incidents show that there is an ongoing racket to steal these wild elephants from the national parks. They found this elephant near the Panahaduwa watch hut. Looking at the way the elephant was found, we suspect that the racketeers involved in this were there near the elephant just before it was found by the authorities. We are surprised about why they were not arrested. Authorities claim that the racketeers fled at the time of the raid. If that is true, they could have put some roadblocks and arrested these suspects. But it did not happen. Therefore, now we have a serious suspicion whether these racketeers were released by the authorities.
Still in news from the Parliament, Public Security Minister Saharatra Campaign has responded to allegations regarding the investigations that are being carried out into the 2019 April 21st attacks.
MP Harin Fernando says that Saharan Hashim's wife Hadia had said that intelligence officers had met him at his house. The bomber's wife Abdul Qadir Fatima Hadia has given 5 statements on this. 3 statements were given after the April 21st attacks and 2 were given before that. On the 6th of May 2019, Hadia had made a confession to the Ampara police. It contained 22 pages, but it did not mention that intelligence officers met Saharan. I challenge Harin Fernando to show the place at which Hadia had said that intelligence officers met with Saharan. On the 14th of May 2019, Hadia gave a statement to the CID. It contains 102 pages, but none of that mentions that intelligence officers met with him. The Presidential Commission had questioned Hadia. This is mentioned across 362 pages. That too does not mention that intelligence units met with Saharan. If Harin Fernando has a backbone, let him express the same remarks outside Parliament as well. We will then allow him to read the 362-page response. Otherwise, we will be able to take legal action against you for providing false information to the people on the investigations being carried out into the April 21st attacks. At 12:33 a.m. on the 5th of April, a lorry bearing the number plate LE6012, which was carrying ornamental fish, was inspected near the Kalanigama Expressway. The search revealed that the lorry was only carrying ornamental fish imported from China and that there was nothing suspicious. They were transporting it from the Katunayake airport to Horana. When the vehicle was stopped, the driver, Romesh Indika Piris, had said that the ornamental fish, which is expensive, can die due to the lack of oxygen. After this, a senior police officer had ordered to release the vehicle if there is nothing suspicious. Therefore, I believe that the statements made by Harin Fernando and Manusha Nanayakara misleads the general public who are watching the investigations. Contrary to what they claim, no senior police officer was at the Malu Malu resort on the 21st of April 2019. If there are any documents such as invoices to prove that, I ask him to table that. At the same time, the security operations of Sri Lanka cricket haven't been entrusted with a police officer.
Sri Lanka police නිලතල දරන කිසිවෙකුත් නැති බවත් මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියා සිටිනවා.
With that news coming in from Sri Lanka's parliament, let's now shift your attention onto some developments overseas. We have a surprising but a positive announcement coming in from the COP26 climate summit that is being held in Glasgow. Now, China and the US have agreed to boost climate cooperation over the next decade. They had expressed remarks to this effect during the COP26 climate summit that is currently underway in Glasgow.
The world's two biggest carbon dioxide emitters pledged to act in a joint declaration at the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow. It says both sides will recall their firm commitment to work together to achieve the 1.5 Celsius temperature goal set out in the 2015 Paris Agreement. They called for stepped-up efforts to close the significant gap that remains to achieve that target. Scientists say that limiting global temperature rises to 1.5 Celsius will help humanity avoid the worst climate impacts. This is compared to pre-industrial temperatures. At Paris in 2015, world leaders pledged to try to keep the world from warming by more than between 1.5 Celsius to 2 Celsius through sweeping emission cuts. US President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping are expected to hold a virtual meeting as early next week.
In sports, we have an update coming in from the T20 Cricket World Cup that is being played in Dubai. Now, shifting your attention to last night's game, opener Darren Mitchell smashed an unbeaten 72 as he led New Zealand into their first ever T20 World Cup final with a thrilling 5-wicket victory. The match was played against England yesterday.
ICC T20 World Cup 2021.
FB එකෙන් News First ප්‍රවෘත්ති live බලන්න. අදම News First FB page එකට ගිහින් like කරන්න. ඉන්න තැනකදී live news බලන්න. දැනුවත් වෙන්න. ඇත්ත දැනගන්න. එය ඔබේ ITI.
Having qualified for the finals of this year's T20 Cricket World Cup, the second semi-final game, that is between Pakistan and Australia, will take place at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time tonight. News First will continue to keep you updated with that story and many more happening in the country and across the globe as well throughout our day. That is on our website, Newsfirst.lk. With that, we wrap this edition of Lunchtime News. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon at 1:55. Bye for now.